Hello Year 11 and welcome to today's lesson on genetic engineering. I want you to write down the date, the title, the LO, and then I want you to do the starter task, please. It is true or false questions, so just write down whether you think that those statements are true or false. Pause the video here and I'll continue in 5 seconds. Okay, number 1, a gene is a small section of DNA. That is true. Number 2, each human cell has 23 pairs of genes. That is false, because each human cell has 23 pairs of chromosomes. Number 3, DNA is made up of chromosomes. That is also false. It is the other way round. Chromosomes are made up of DNA. Number 4, each chromosome carries one gene. That is false. Each chromosome carries lots and lots of genes. Number 5, genes come in pairs. That is correct. And number 6, a gene is a section of a chromosome. That is also correct. So give yourself a mark out of 6, please. Okay, the legend of Spider Goat. Okay, so obviously the picture on the right isn't real, but spider goats are kind of a thing due to genetic engineering. It's not what you think it is. It's not a goat with 8 legs. It's not as creepy as you think. So what I want you to do is I want you to watch this link. Now, if you're watching me explain this on YouTube, obviously you won't be able to click the link, but the PowerPoint is on Show My Homework for you to look at and click the link on there. If you can't do that, if you just type into YouTube spider goat, it will come up most likely, or a video that relates to it. So I want you to pause this video and I want you to watch that one, please. Okay, so you will see from the video that scientists got DNA from spiders and put it in goats. Okay, they just look like normal goats still, but the protein that they produce is in the milk, and that protein is from spiders. And the reason for that is because spider silk is the strongest fiber that has ever been discovered. Okay, so we want lots of this spider silk for various reasons that are listed on this PowerPoint. And by taking out the DNA from the spider and inserting it into the goat, we can get that silk more easily. So some of the applications of this silk is bulletproof clothing, wear-resistant lightweight clothing, ropes, nets, seatbelts, parachutes, rust-free panels on motor vehicles or boats, biodegradable bottles, bandages, surgical thread, artificial tendons or ligaments, and supports for weak blood vessels. Okay, so you can see there is a lot of applications of this. It's really, really useful. Okay, so here we have a spider. And I did forget to put the animation on the other 2 arrows, so just ignore those for now. Okay, so we have a spider here, and we have the spider's DNA. So not all of the spider's DNA is removed, it is just the gene that produces the silk, okay? So part of its DNA is removed, not all of it. Okay, and then this DNA is transferred into the goat. Okay, so part of the DNA that creates silk is removed from the spider and is inserted into the goat. And then what happens is we end up with spider silk in the goat's milk. Okay, so I'll go through that again. Spider has a gene that produces silk, and spider silk is the strongest fiber that has ever been discovered. That gene is removed from the spider and inserted into the goat. Now when the goat produces milk, it just looks like normal milk. It's all exactly the same apart from it's got an extra protein in it, and that is the spider silk that we can use for things like safety vests and bandages and things like that. So going through it in more detail, here we have the spider and we remove one cell from the spider and we use enzymes to cut out the desired piece of DNA. Okay, in this case it is the gene that produces silk. Over here we have the goat. We take one cell from the goat. This grey bit is the nucleus. We remove the nucleus and then we get the spider genes and put them into that nucleus. Okay, and because we need to make an embryo, We have another goat donate an egg cell. The nucleus is removed, and the new nucleus with the spider genetics in it is going to go into that egg cell. Okay, and that egg cell is going to divide and develop as a usual fetus would and is inserted into a third goat. Okay, and then when that goat has the baby, which is goat D, it will have the spider genes in it. Okay, and then that goat becomes an adult, it produces milk, and in that milk there is the spider silk because that goat now has that protein in its DNA. Okay, so that goat is a tiny part spider. It doesn't look spiderish, it just looks like a normal goat, but the milk it produces has spider silk in it, and then we can use that. Okay, if you watch this video here, then it is just other weird applications of genetic engineering if you're interested in watching it. Okay, now key examples of how this works. So a key example that you need to know is insulin. Okay, so people with diabetes, they don't produce insulin. And the way that they used to get their insulin was that insulin was taken from pigs and injected into them, but because it wasn't human insulin, then it didn't quite work as well. So now scientists have developed a way that bacteria can make human insulin for us. So I'll go through it step by step with you. So up here we have a human cell and we have the chromosomes. Now those chromosomes are here and the yellow bit represents our gene for for forming insulin. Okay, so we use enzymes to cut that piece of DNA out. So we only want the relevant bit. So we use enzymes to get that gene for controlling insulin. Excuse me. Okay, going over to the right side, we have bacteria, and they have circles of DNA called plasmids. Those plasmids are cut with an enzyme, and then what we do is we get the gene for controlling insulin and insert it into that gap in the plasmid. Okay, so now we have a bacteria plasmid with the gene for producing insulin in it, and that will be human insulin. Okay, that is then inserted into a suitable bacterium. So the plasmid with the gene is inserted into that bacterium. And as bacteria do, they will divide and divide, and all of those bacteria will produce plasmids that produce insulin. Okay, and that is human insulin, not bacteria insulin. Okay, so now we've got a load of bacteria with the DNA that will produce human insulin for us, and that can be taken and injected into people, and it will work just fine as if they had produced it themselves. Okay, next example is vitamin A. So all over the world, there are people who suffer really bad because of where they live geographically. Crops get diseases and things like that. They don't have enough food and sustenance to give them all the nutrients they need. So vitamin A deficiency with each year is estimated to kill 670,000 children under the age of 5 and cause an additional 500,000 cases of irreversible childhood blindness. Okay, so if we look on the world map, the green areas are the areas that aren't affected by it. The blue areas there's not any data for, and then other than that, the yellow is bad, orange is worse, red is really bad. Okay, so we can see that in the economically poorer areas, that is where this is happening, and that's because they don't have access to the right nutrients. So there is a way using genetic engineering that we can get the right nutrients. So still on vitamin A, golden rice is a variety of rice produced through genetic engineering to make beta-carotene, a precursor of vitamin A. It is intended to produce a fortified food to be grown and consumed in areas with a shortage of dietary availability. Rice is a staple food crop for over half the world's population. Okay, so over half the world has rice to eat. If we can get that rice to have vitamin A in it, then it's going to solve a lot of vitamin A problems. So it works kind of the same way that we've been talking about before. So we've got daffodils and bacteria. Okay, genes in the pathway for beta-carotene production are obtained from other species and introduced into the white rice genome. So here we have our regular rice, and then we've got a gene from a daffodil and gene from bacteria that both produce beta-carotene, and that is put into the rice, and now it produces golden rice. And that golden rice has loads and loads of beta-carotene in it, which is a precursor of vitamin A. Okay, and now all those people who have rice as a main dietary food in their area, is the main thing that they eat, now they will also be getting lots of vitamin A, okay, and it will help stop all the deaths and blindness in those countries. Okay, so that is the end of the lesson for today. Please answer the questions that I've put on Show My Homework. Remember, I'm available on Zoom and through email and through Show My Homework if you have any questions. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful day.